Well, that fading of the music can mean only one thing. This interval is now officially over. Please do not, under any circumstances, attempt to take any more interval. It will not be counted. If you do not feel you've had sufficient interval, there will be a free supplementary interval after the end of the show. This will last until the next Bugle 18th anniversary show, for which we'll have to stop the show, then restart it, and do it again. Anyway, the point is the interval's now over. Please welcome back to the stage producer Chris. You'll see the highly technical procedure that is starting the second half, the key differences with starting the first half, including that it's a bit later on in the evening. Please, now, are we ready, Chris?
Yeah.
Please welcome back to the stage, Andy Zaltzman. Welcome back to the Bugle 18th birthday live stream live.
Hey!
Another birthday message has come in. Stoked for you guys to make it to 18. Can't believe it's almost 2 decades since that poker game where you guys beat me and won the chance to make any wish come true in the world, and you chose to do a weekly topical news-based podcast. All the best from Zeus. P.S. I'm a good guy. Don't believe everything you see on a vase. Most of that never actually happened. So, right, let's get cracking with the second half, which has to begin with. There we go. 6 years of trumpet lessons were not fucking wasted. Scraped through grade 5. Began at grade 3. It was really not very impressive. I never got understood why trumpet exams began at grade 3, but they did. Anyway, that's just one of the many ways in which this millennium is different from the last one, including the average speed of pedestrians. Do you know, it's almost literally gone off a cliff. The average pedestrians are now between 50 and 100% slower than they used to be. It costs the people dawdling on pavements cost the economy, I'm going to make up a figure here, £7.8 trillion a year. You compare pedestrians now with pedestrians, say, 100, 120 years ago. You see footage of them in the streets back then. Oh, they got a wriggle on. Right, let's get going with the second half. Please welcome back from the other side of the world, Alice Fraser! Welcome back. And from the other side of the stage, Nish Kumar! So, welcome back. How's the interval for you, Alice, in Australia?
The sun has come up, so that's a treat.
That is a relief. That would have been, I mean, what a dramatic way to find out about the end of the world. Alice is sitting in... So, 2007, October 2007 is when who's been listening since the very beginning? Oh, thank you very much.
Losers. Fucking losers.
Fuck you. Alice, what were you doing back in 2007?
In 2007, I was at university. I had just gotten Facebook so that my parents could see photographs of me doing fun things over the other side of the world. More hopeful times, Andy.
Nish, what about you?
I was listening to the Bugle, baby. I was a listener...
Yeah. Strong work.
I was listening to the Bugle, but then, unlike these losers who are in the room, you picked me out of the crowd like Courtney Cox in the Dancing in the Dark video. And since then, I've always seen myself as the Cox to your Springsteen.
Right.
I've got photos.
I didn't know Bruce had multiple penis syndrome. Is that...
Why do you think they call him the boss?
Nish, obviously, you know, this is the highlight of your week, but I'm not the only highly influential global media person you've met this
No,
week.
Fittingly on the week of the Bugle's 18th birthday, I closed a very satisfying narrative loop. Now, long-time listeners will know and remember that my Wikipedia page was subjected to what can only be described as an act of cyber terrorism. And I say that you'll remember it because you cunt did it. Saying you remember that is a bit like saying, yes, Al-Qaeda do remember 9/11. So it actually started because my little shit cousins from Australia defaced my Wikipedia page because they found out I had one and that anyone could edit it, and they changed it so it said my name was Nishant, in inverted commas, Madam Lily Kumar. Then the defacement escalated. They said that I weighed a total of 7... I don't even know how many kilograms that is. There's about 15 zeros there.
That's 2 zeros too many for me.
Listen, I got junk in the trunk. And then I opened it out to the Bugle, and then it sort of became an act of cyber terrorism. It said that I am often referred to as the Brown John Oliver, and was being lined up to be the first brown Smurf. Then they changed my website to a website called burymewithmymoney.com. I don't even know what the fuck that is. It continued. They said that one of my first Edinburgh solo show was called Who is Bish Lunar? And then things really, I would say, got out of hand. It said between 1999 and 2002, I starred in a semi-nude stage production of A Christmas Carol that ran for 4 weeks every September. The show was cancelled after its 2002 run when it was revealed Kumar had been using the production as a front to launder money made in the illegal trade of ivory Colonel Gaddafi face masks.
What's the golden rule? No smoke without...
Then things got even worse. In October 2017, E4 announced that he is to front a new chat show project called Naked with Nish, due to air in February 2018. The format has described that a fully naked Nish Kumar will interrogate a host of clothes celebrities about the more intimate aspects of their private lives. Guests announced thus far are Lily Allen, Steve Coogan and Nigel Farage. The guests will be scored on the basis of how excited Nish gets. So I believe that is the sum total of the defacement, Chris. So just to bring things now fully round to a full narrative closure, this week I interviewed Jimmy Wales, the CEO and founder of Wikipedia, who has a book out. I talked to him about it, and then he signed my copy of the book to Madam Lily. Buglers, a loop has been closed.
I'm heartbroken that Naked with Nish isn't real. I'm not wearing trousers right now in honour of...
Actually, this of all weeks, a chat show with Lily Allen would really pop off.
Right, should we get on to our first story of the second half, Chris?
Oh, God, hang on. I can't do 2 laptops.
There it is. I could have done it on that, couldn't I? Could have actually used the... I'll do the next one on the right.
No one needs to see you have an asthma attack.
That was another one of your Edinburgh shows, wasn't it?
Just smoke machines the whole time.
Australian news now, and Australia is at war simultaneously with China and with space. Alice, China has attacked Australia from space by dropping bits of defunct satellites all over the massive sandy landmass. You must be very concerned that the long-awaited war between China and Australia is finally coming to pass.
Well, Andy, yeah, we've got pieces of debris raining out of the sky into the Western Australian outback, setting up the equipment needed to film Mad Max Thunderdome. Actually, I do have an inside source on this because my cousin Alice is a space archaeologist, and I have reliably been informed that saying my cousin Alice is a space archaeologist sounds like I've just made up an alternate universe version of myself who is more successful and exciting and fair. I do have previous, but I actually do have a cousin. My cousin Alice, aka Other Alice, is a space archaeologist. She specialises in the mapping and tracking of space junk, and I asked her to explain this story to me. So fundamentally, scientists of space junk have been increasingly concerned that we're filling the sky with rubbish on decaying orbits around the globe, which makes it increasingly dangerous for people shooting themselves up there that they might bump into something, and also inevitable that increasing amounts of space junk are going to start falling out of the sky. I asked my cousin Alice what the implications of this are, because I'm not an expert, and I don't know if we're talking like one more thing a year or 1,000 things at your gender reveal party falling out of the sky. Hooray, the baby is Sawyer's. Hey, it's better than the family who had to call their kid Leica because a frozen dog coat-hangered great Aunt Enid.
Probably sure.
Anyway, I did ask my cousin Alice, but she didn't reply because she's too busy panicking about the implications of all this fucking cascade of space junk that's about to splat us, I assume. I don't know what to think about this story because I'm not an expert, and like nobody listens to the experts anymore, which I know that nobody is listening to poor boffins with their decades of expertise reading graphs while Johnny Come TikTok is making millions of money misinterpreting to an audience of tepid teens and quibbling capitalists. The point is, I know that nobody's listening to experts because this is the first time you're hearing this story in a comedy news show. And even if it's not the first time you're hearing about the story, you probably read the headline and figured you understood the story enough and you didn't click through. And if you did click through, you didn't fact check. And even if you clicked through and fact checked, you didn't ask a space scientist unless you are a space scientist, in which case you're not a space scientist in this field. And if you are, hi, Cousin Alice.
So, apparently the tensions with China have just been raised from no worries to some worries, which is pretty concerning for Australia. This actually, your 2015 Edinburgh show was called My Space Junk, wasn't it? And that was viewed as one of your most graphic shows up until that
yeah,
point.
but it was a very out-of-date show about a then largely defunct social media app. It took them a second, but they got there in the end. Alice, is your cousin Alice Gorman, the associate professor at Australia's Finland? I read she was quoted in the fucking article I read about this. They said that she was called Dr. Space Junk, which really shows you they are giving out degrees for anything these days.
It's an increasing problem, space junk. Our orbit is cluttered up with an estimate. There's over 10,000 satellites have been blasted into space since the first one went up there, which I think was 1837? Six, sorry.
Fact check.
Fight bullshit with bullshit. Which I think is going to be on the back of the new £8 coins that are being produced next year. But in Latin, it will sound very, very sophisticated. Over half of the 10,000 plus satellites in space have retired from satelliting, and there are over 25,000 bits of space junk plinking around in orbit. And so there are quite big concerns, Alice, that there might not be enough space for all the billionaires to get up there as well, alongside all the space junk. Where now for the likes of Elon Musk, who dream of living in orbit and running us from space?
It is a genuine problem. They have to track the junk so that people don't hit it on the way up. But I'm hoping what will happen is eventually there's so much space junk that it provides a metallic shell that completely encircles the Earth and protects us from global warming. That said, it could just cook us like a wet casserole. I'm not 100%.
It's like wrapping a fish in foil and sticking it in the oven.
Which is fine if the fish is dead.
Don't worry, they will be.
UK news now.
Oh, shit.
Actually, that was the perfect sting. UK news followed by a British man going, "Oh shit," was completely the perfect sting, and I think should now be used every time we talk about the United Kingdom.
I'd like to see all BBC news bulletins just start with a newsreader going, "Oh shit." They sort of do actually. They already bleep out the first 6 words at the top of every hour on radio. So, Nish, you are our UK, the Bugle's UK correspondent.
Yep.
Bring us up to date with what's going on in this.
Well,
country.
massive news, Andy. Racism is back. Now, in many ways, racism... Okay, that was a bit of a worrying cheer.
Just ticket sales are ticket sale. You know.
Okay, the next 3 to 5 minutes could be very awkward. Racism is like the James Bond film franchise. It's intrinsically British, it's never going to go away, and these days it's largely owned and distributed by the tech industry. So, Katie Lamb, who's the Conservative MP, who some is describing as the future leader of the party and who is currently the Shadow Home Office Minister, said this week there are a large number of people in this country who came here legally but in effect should have been able to do so. They will also need to go home. What that will leave is a mostly but not entirely culturally coherent group of people. So we've now just gone from the whole let's get rid of the illegal immigrants to let's just get rid of anybody like slightly darker than mid-white. Like that, we're really expanding the remit here. And there's a lot to unpack with that comment. Clearly, it's absolutely soaked in xenophobia and intrinsic prejudice. But my eye was drawn to the idea that even without immigration, Britain is a culturally coherent group of people. This is a nation of royalty and football hooliganism. This is a nation where the working man and the aristocrat are united by two things, tea drinking and binge drinking, where everyone from the humblest shoe shiner to the wealthiest aristocrat is united by a desire to not speak about their feelings and then get so drunk they feel the need to smash up a shop. It's a nation of sexual repression and graphic pornography. It's the nation of stiff upper lips and flares up our arse. It's the nation that produced the Beatles and Shawaddy Waddy. And it's called the United Kingdom, and it's made up of 4 countries, 3 of which absolutely fucking hate the other one. But
It's a bit harsh on Wales. Don't mind him myself.
listen, the second they allowed Ellis James to be their cultural emissary, they were fucked. In continued racism news, Sarah Pochin, who is Reform UK's MP for Runcorn and Helsby, complained that every advert now seems to feature black and Asian people, as she responded to a viewer on Talk TV who had complained about the demographics of advertising. Pochin said the view was absolutely right and that it didn't reflect our society. I feel that your average white person, average white family is not represented anymore, blaming the woke liberati and the arty-farty world. First of all, just say my name, okay? If you're going to call me out, don't do it euphemistically. Now, I will say, it's not clear what this absolute fucking imbecile is watching. Like, what channel or streaming service she has tuned into that features exclusively non-white people in all of the adverts. But I do have one question. Give me the name, I need to get on it. Because... And that's not just for my own career, that's for your benefit as well. If you put me on that network that's only screening adverts with black and Asian people, I'll have it done within the fucking week. Now, Wes Streeting, the Health Secretary, has this morning described her comments as racist. And part of the reason we sort of tied ourselves in knots about everything is we're no longer really sure what is and isn't racist anymore, right? So, now, people are putting flags up in towns all over the United Kingdom, right? And they're saying that they're doing that out of solidarity for British culture and a hostility towards immigrants that are taking over the country. And some people have said, you can't say that the flag is racist. Now, here's the thing. This is part of my guide to what is and is not racist, right? The British flag is not racist if you were looking at it during an Olympics or a World Cup. If you were looking at a British or English flag during an Olympics or a World Cup, that is not racist. If you're waving the flag because you read on a far right-wing blog that you should wave a flag to stick it to the immigrants and the browns, that is racist. Objects can change depending on the context that surrounds them. That's why no one looks at pictures of Germany in the 1930s and says, boy, that place must have been chock full of Hindus. Listen, Hitler and Gandhi might have been swastika-toting vegetarians who had issues with the Brits, but that is where the similarities begin and end. And people keep asking, fundamentally, are these rallies that we've been seeing in London races? So last month, there was a rally where 100,000 people descended on London to protest what they called the kind of swamping of the country by immigrants and a need to assert British culture and British values. Now, people keep saying not everyone on that march was clearly racist. Here is where I land on this, right? 100,000 people, not all of them can be racist, right? However, it was a racist event, because if you're still continuing to blame immigrants for all of the ills of society that are caused by a collapsing economic model, that is not fact-based, and and therefore it is quite literally a prejudice. Now, to contextualise this, a week after that rally, 100,000 people descended on Wembley Stadium to watch Oasis. Now, not all of those people can have been Oasis fans. However, when they saw Liam and Noel Gallagher stood on stage, what they could no longer do was deny that they were at an Oasis event. They can't say, no, this wasn't racist. This wasn't an Oasis event, okay? This was not an Oasis event. It was an event for people with legitimate concerns about people looking back in anger.
Which is pretty much what the Tommy Robinson was about.
No, that was about looking forward in anger.
Look, I mean, I may have said this on the Bugle, but I think you can't say that protest was racist unless you judge it by the people who organised it, spoke at it, and the things that they said. Other than that, there's no way that you can...
This is classic wokerati nonsense.
Let's look more specifically now at the Caerphilly Senedd by-election.
Big news.
Which I know... who voted in it? Yeah, congratulations, well done. I did as well. I vote in every by-election because I give a shit, not like you lazy fuckers just letting democracy happen around you. Find a fucking way. And it was... it went... I think it's fair to say, Addition Alice, that it didn't go particularly well for the ruling Labour Party, who'd won every election in Caerphilly for more than 100 years, but only got just over 10% of the vote. Plaid Cymru managed to beat Reform UK, and I've never known Plaid Cymru be quite so popular in England as they have this week. Lindsay Whittle, the winning candidate, he said he promised to work like a Trojan for every man, woman and child in Caerphilly. In other words, to spend 10 years fighting a losing battle, then make a really bad deal involving some horse-themed merch. So,
Andy, we hope that's what he meant. We hope he didn't. We hope he meant that Trojan and not the type of condom. Because otherwise, that means he works most of the time, but occasionally we're going to need to source a morning after MP.
Alice, I imagine the Caerphilly by-election has been huge news in Australia.
Yes, Andy, massive. It's eclipsing everything here. It's been taken as a referendum on Keir Starmer's leadership of the Labour Party. Keir Starmer, sentient Excel spreadsheet. He dreams not of a better world, but of perfectly aligned pivot tables and a society where all emotions can be logged on a risk assessment matrix. His smile is a cell that has been manually formatted to emoji, slight, _ upturn. On the bright side, while, yes, a hearty rejection of Labour's slogans before Bogans approach to improving material conditions for the working man, it is also a bit of a spit in the eye for Reform. Nigel Farage pledged to throw everything at the campaign, but they came in second. And, you know, there's an upside. It feels like we are, if we're rejecting sort of large institutions, we're maybe also rejecting the up-and-coming institutions that hope to replace them. And I'm hoping, actually, that we go back to small village life, return to just voting for your 6 aunts into politics, and then eventually we can form principalities and then larger sort of nation states and start the whole thing again. That's...
I mean, this in terms of where Labour are now, a year and a quarter or so, not under a year and a half still since the election. Obviously, you know, there's a disappointing result, and time is of the essence for Labour, who are already, you know, looking ahead to the next election they might realistically win, which is in less than 19 years now. The 2044 general election. They'll obviously inevitably get thrashed in 2029. That's just the way politics is now. Success is an impossibility. They'll flatline in 2034. They'll make a barely discernible micro-recovery in 2039. So they'll be targeting enough seats to form a coalition in 2044, probably according to my computer's predictions, with the newly formed Progressive Yesterday Tomorrow Party. Co-led by 102-year-old Neil Kinnock, an animatronic Labubu, Claudia Winkleman, and whoever the incumbent Doctor Who is at the time. It could be you, actually.
Listen, I'd be happy to take down that franchise, as I've taken down many others before it. Also, how has Labubu landed on your sphere of understanding? I can't be the only person who heard Andy Zaltzman say Labubu and thought, have I misheard? Where the fuck did you learn about Labubu? Labubai from?
Sorry, what was that?
Gold Labubu. Is that... Were you expecting that to be a sort of Manchurian Candidate moment? And someone in the audience be activated to assassinate me or Andy? It really felt like that was a code word and no one has been activated.
This audience is too sophisticated to be aware of the mimetic news story in which a lady talked fondly about her 24-karat gold Labubu, which was sort of seen as in every way sort of representative of the decline of culture.
Well, I think if there is a summary of the Bugle over its first 18 years, it would be, we're fucking doomed. So I think this probably...
Gold Labubu was something that everyone shouted at. I've just remembered what that is. Fucking hell, I made you look like a cunt for absolutely no reason. I'm sorry. Here's what happened. A couple of weeks ago, Andy, my career is in an interesting place. About 3 weeks ago, in the space of 4 days, I interviewed the former Greek finance minister Yanis Varoufakis about the current state of left-wing politics in Europe and in the wider world. Then, 4 days later, I commentated on an event where comedians wrestled with pro wrestlers. And I wore a gold jacket, and someone in the audience said that I looked like a gold Labubu, which I then announced at the at-capacity Hammersmith Apollo, which prompted 3,500 people to start chanting the phrase gold Labubu at me. So when that person shouted gold Labubu, it was a reference to my own body of work, which I am. I'm sorry to say, not as familiar with as I am weirdly with Andy's body of work. I do apologise, that was an excellent and relevant thing to have yelled.
You've got time.
Right. All right. Okay. Oh, well, tell you what we haven't done. We haven't done the. We'll do a couple more stories, and then we'll do the. We've got the listener survey.
Yeah, who here filled in the Bugle first ever official hot potato survey?
Yeah.
Don't ask these animals their opinion.
Should we do that now?
If you want to.
Let's do that now. Right. So we'll come back to a couple of the stories. So this just explain exactly what it was, Chris.
So we thought to celebrate our 18th birthday, we'd go official and find out truly what the world thinks, what buglers think. And the results are just in, based on a series of questions that we asked online. These are the results answered by 1,000 people over the period of 7 days. And so first of all, buglers really fucking hate Donald Trump. 94.3% of them think he's had a negative impact on the world.
Just go back. Go back. Who are these people? Who are these people?
Well, another fact that turns up later on, out of nearly 1,100 people who were surveyed, 5 identified as right-wing.
Right.
So...
Yeah, but also, I know these fucking people, okay? Because, as I say, I was one of them for many years. And so I understand the way they think. Those 5 will have answered in some fucking character. It's like Attila the Hun or some shit.
Well, it's I tried to ask them a simple question: should we be bleeping words? And we got a proper wedge issue result here,
right,
where it's completely inconclusive. And you go, okay, fine. People just about want more fucks than cunts, and some said just fuck, and some said just cunt. And then we got on to basically 4 pages worth of answers.
So, honky honk, honk honk, ding ding, popty ping.
I mean,
2016 at the Pleasance.
Yeah, that was 2016 at the Pleasance. Someone answered not asked TBH.
Just one thing, and let's give them a bit of credit, just very quickly. Buglers think conspiracy theories are bullshit, which is nice. 99.3% believe in the moon landings. 74% believed that absolutely all conspiracy theories are bollocks. The one you most believe in is the COVID lab leak and the Mandela effect. And only 0.4% of you believe that 5G is dangerous. So, fair play.
Again, they will have answered in character. Like, I know these people. They are, no offence, absolute fucking lunatics.
And finally, I think the big issue here was we had to find out what your favourite sport was. And disappointingly, cricket did not win.
Right.
Oh my good lord. There is genuine shock in this room.
There is. But also, looking at that, that's everyone's favourite sport. People have voted a lot of times there. That adds up to well over 100.
They just had to say which one they like. They were allowed to like more than one.
Right, okay.
Wow.
Well, if anyone... So, 34.4% like cricket. For the remaining 65.6% of you, you are dead to me.
Sorry.
But Andy, to be fair to the Bugle audience, cricket is not their favourite sport because carrying a single joke through time for over a decade and pretending that it remains relevant is their favourite sport. I got a message from John Luke Roberts, comedian, just yesterday saying, can you please unpack this for me? He had been accused of sucking up to the Bugle and wasn't quite sure what was meant by that. So he said, I posted, toying with changing my name to Honky Tonk Babadooka Donk, and somebody asked me if I'm sucking up to the Bugle, why would they ask me this? And I said, there was a Bugle joke about a tank that was called the Badonkadonk tank. Many years ago, only Bugle fans would think a 10-year-old joke would be in your head right now. So that's their favourite sport.
Pun runs as a sport. Pun running, there we go. Well, I mean, that may... Well, you know... Well, I mean, we saw what happened with the first instance of that sport earlier on today.
Yeah, it caused John to leave the call.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. As it caused him to leave the show initially. Let's... in terms of conspiracy theory, I mean, they are more and more ridiculous. There was one last year that windmills cause cancer. Did you see the report? It was generally reported that there were on right-wing chat rooms this theory that sorry? Tilt at windmills. No, you didn't have to tilt at them. But the interesting thing was...
Only this audience would heckle with a reference to Don Quixote. Biggest group of virgins I've ever seen in my life.
Nish.
Yeah.
Nish, if that is Byron, I don't want to be right.
That's my favourite donkey, Don Quixote. Bit of culture. Yeah, windmills obviously windmills don't cause cancer. I know this because my great uncle Wilfred never saw a windmill, didn't die of cancer. Join the dots. Admittedly, he died whilst trying on a pair of crocodile shoes way before they were ready. But that's good. Right, let's move on now to double-decker trains news now. And hugely exciting news for fans of, or people who hate single-decker trains, I guess. Eurostar it has ordered 30 double-decker trains which could come into service in the year 2031 at a cost of £1.7 billion, or to translate that into realistic UK railway infrastructure projections, could come into service as soon as the year 2197 at a cost of just 849 quadrillion, and maybe soluble if it rains, and have square wheels that are so hot they melt the track on contact. And the project will also come with a luxury 12-storey, 6-star hotel for the exclusive use of bats. So, Britain has generally eschewed double-decker trains, which are widely used in places like the entire rest of the fucking world. The reason we've generally avoided double-decker trains is it raises the possibility of people having somewhere to sit if they bought a ticket. Which is not what rail travel is about. Would we have won the fucking war if we'd had double-decker trains to sit on? No, we fucking wouldn't. And also because Queen Victoria, who was monarch during the development of the railway network, reportedly didn't believe in stairs. Or was it lesbianism? I can't remember. It was one of the two, possibly both. Increased capacity trains and wider range of destinations across the continent we once called home raised the prospect of a huge increase in passenger numbers, and experts have predicted that the queues to board the trains at St Pancras International will take somewhere between 7 hours and 12 years. So, Nish, I know you're a huge fan of having as many decks on a train as...
Yeah, I'm a huge fan, man. But I will say, this will not stand in this specific instance. We did not vote Brexit so that we could have 2 floors worth of trains travelling to those frog leg eating surrender monkeys. Okay? And the double decker for buses! Double deckers buses! That's Britain! Double deckers are buses! And those chocolates we had in the 90s. That's the only thing! That's the only double deckers are for buses and 1990s chocolate, not for trains! Trains are single decker. What is this, bloody India? And they're sitting on the roof of the trains? This is not what we voted Leave for, and the only way this thing will fly, under Prime Minister Nigel Farage, the answer to the question, what if gout was a guy? The only way this thing is going to fly if that second decker is exclusively used for deporting immigrants. That is the only way. Now, we in the Reform Party, I joined the Reform Party in the interval.
Rejoined.
Rejoined, yeah. I'm a huge fan of brown people in the Reform Party. It's like turkeys voting for Christmas. My apologies. Fireworks voting for Diwali.
I'm for it, Andy.
Yep.
As long as the implicit class system of the double-decker is rigidly enforced, people on top, people at the bottom, and also it is a topless double-decker like those roof-off tour buses. There's a tour guide up front, they're a jaded uni student. On your left, some tunnel. On your right, some tunnel. You can't see through the walls of this tunnel, but behind it is a terrifying weight of water that could crush us all in an instant. I think we put the rich people up top, but we have it open, like the top of the double-decker tour bus, so that their top hats and or heads all get knocked off. Train guillotine from London to Paris. The French will welcome you with open arms and no pants.
This is not why we voted Leave. We don't know why we did. We're working through all the reasons. Double-decker trains? No. Making trade easier? Also, it turns out no. Reform. We don't have a manifesto. We've just got some dirty toilet paper from Farage's bog. But vote for it.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I don't want to rake over the old smouldering coals of Brexit again. Net migration rocketed up to way more than it was before Brexit. So, if you're an irony fan, these have been wonderful times. And but I don't think we'll really move on as a nation until we start asking ourselves a very important question about Brexit, which is reducing massively complicated political and economic problems to vastly oversimplified binary choices, is that right or wrong? And until we really get to that... So... Let's move on to...
That is classic, man. That's really good.
One genuinely exciting, heartwarming story, which you might have seen last week, about a woman who has Parkinson's playing the clarinet during surgery, having and playing it better than she'd been able to for years as Parkinson's advanced, and she underwent deep brain stimulation during this operation. And my father had Parkinson's for many years and is an absolute remorseless shit of a disease. So I'm not a fan. I'm sorry if I offend any Parkinson's fans in when I say that. But, on this show I always say what I think, and I don't like it. Some people have expressed concerns that this is a dangerous precedent has been set whereby surgeons refuse to operate unless their patients provide some entertainment. It starts with a simple tune on the clarinet, and before you know it, you have to be juggling a basket of kittens whilst playing I'm Too Sexy for My Shirt on an underarm bagpipe before they'll give you so much as a fucking appendectomy. So, Also concerns that children will use this technique to cheat in music exams, trying to trick their way to a distinction in grade 4 by sneaking in a brain surgeon under an unusually baggy hat. And also, and obviously, you know, the relationship between medicine and musical instruments stretches back through history. I mentioned on the Bugle some time ago that Florence Nightingale developed the harmonica during the Crimean War as a means of working out whether patients were still alive or not. Just pop it in the mouth, and also could tell if they were particularly upset because they got a bit more bluesy. But also the cello and violin were invented as a means of testing the eyesight of clowns recovering from being hit over the head with frying pans. Could they tell if something was smaller or just further away? So that's. Alice, I mean, this is a very exciting development.
Call this an exciting and heartwarming story, Andy. This is toxic capitalism. It's not enough to be getting brain surgery. The idea that we have to be constantly working, productive, turning our hobbies into monetized side hustles. Next, you'll be telling me she's Twitch streaming her clarinet brain surgery. The person who performed the surgery was neurosurgeon and Professor Kumar Ashkan, the fucking show-off. When asked to comment on this procedure, he said that the clarinet playing helped to fine-tune the position of the electrodes deep inside her brain until she was able to play the instrument. He went on to say, yeah, sure, it's impressive that she can play a musical instrument while getting brain surgery, but it's not exactly doing brain surgery, is it? He then referred news channels to his Etsy shop, his podcast, and his OnlyFans page. And it's not unheard of for brain surgery to happen with an awake patient, despite the uncomfortably Hannibal Lecter aesthetics of it. It does help to fine-tune the surgery. Unfortunately, now this patient is fully optimized for clarinet playing at the cost of all other metrics. So, sure, she can play clarinet with the heartbreaking lyricism of a classical maestro, but if you ask her to count to 10, she'll do it in clarinet. So.
Hey, we're in real trouble, Zoltzman, you and me, if they extend this to other art forms. They start getting us to do a gig while we're under brain surgery. I don't know how they're going to measure. They're going to be like, well, he seems to be really struggling. The other docs have to be like, no, I've seen footage of the gigs. This is how it normally goes. Jesus Christ, I don't know have we cut the wrong nerve? He's taken down a whole network. How has this happened? No, that's normal. The brain surgery is working. We have returned him to the mean. Fucking hell, there was no signs of brain activity when you and me did that gig at Andover. Fuck me!
Too soon. It's our own shared Vietnam. Well, just some before we get to the last bit of the show, some Prince Andrew update. We talked about this on last week's Bugle. Currently the Duke of York, who, in addition to all the women, had 10,000 men as well, apparently, according to some unconfirmed report. A government minister.
I'm embarrassed at how much that made me laugh.
Amazing to run them up and down the hill so many times, and none of them were sweating.
Well, I know you're a huge Prince fan, weren't you?
Massive Prince. Wait, hold on. Which one are you talking about? Because I was a huge fan. I went to see him in 2007. Yeah. Andrew. It was really weird. He was doing some really weird beat poetry about his friend Jeff.
A government minister has reportedly said that Andrew should be, quote, thrown under a bus. And we are just hearing that the traditional royal throwing under a busment ceremony has been scheduled for next May bank holiday. So it should draw a good crowd. Details emerging. Andrew will be escorted through London in a giant alabaster hand modelled on Queen Victoria's left paw, accompanied by 12 regiments of soldiers, 7,000 horses, and Penny Mordaunt with a massive fucking sword. The new Archbishop of Canterbury will recite the parable of the very naughty man from the Gospel according to St Alvin, and Andrew will then be thrown in the traditional manner by the hurlers of the 4th Royal Blagoons under the gold-plated bus of state, which of course dates to the 1530s when King Henry VIII used to get the number 15 from the centre of town out to the Tower of London to say goodbye to his exes.
I think that he's lost his titles. Listen, again, I don't want to sound like a wokeist. I don't think that is punishment enough. I would say that a lot of people will commit a lot more crimes if the punishment was, and you will no longer be referred to as sir or madam when a waiter asks you if you're ready to order. Like, that's not... in lieu of any other justice, we should get to vote on what his new titles are going to be to replace the old titles. HRN, his royal nonsense. Like, I think that would at least let us have a bit of fun if you're not going to fucking throw the cunt in jail. Like, I mean, allegedly.
How much time we got, Chris?
I think we should have probably started a thing that you'd quite like to do, and these
do
guys
we,
would like
do we have any more from the survey, or is that done?
I've got one more fact from the survey, which I could share with you if you want to hear it.
Yeah.
I've just got to find... Andy had a lot of news he wanted to cover today, so I have 110 slides. We asked the Bugles in what era of history would you most like to have listened to the Bugle, had it existed then, and what historical figure would you have most liked to have been a co-host on the Bugle? Who was it?
Oh, yeah. You have been well trained.
I don't want to hear Andy have a boner for 45 minutes.
Family show, this family show.
Yeah, they're in.
18 years, Chris, Nish, Alice. Well, what do you think? Another 18 years. Do you think what do you think the world will be like in 18 years, Nish?
Well, I think it's going to be very difficult for us to do this show during the Road War. But I do think we will find... I watch Mad Max. There's not a lot of people doing our jobs. The closest is the guy playing the guitar that shoots fire out of it that's strapped to the top of the truck. I mean, I guess I'm immediately human sacrifice. I have no, post-apocalyptic utility. So I guess I'm out of the game. So yeah, I'm excited to know how you're going to keep this podcast going whilst we sort of are in a hand-to-hand combat war for food, resources and water.
I mean, in terms of human sacrifices, sometimes bearded guys going through human sacrifices end up doing quite well long-term. But that's...
Yeah, but it's a real mixed bag because they somehow magically turn white.
Alice, in 18 years' time, obviously I'll be fine. Post-apocalypse, people will always need puns and cricket stats. That's, you see the director's cut of Mad Max. There's a lot of people doing cricket stats.
Yeah, there's a really weird bit where Tom Hardy just reads from a Wisden annual for half an hour.
Andy, 18 years ago, you and John would source your news from reputable newspapers of note. You'd script up your jokes, or lolgaggeries as they used to be called, on wax tablets with soapstone styluses, and then you'd seize your wooden megaphones and go to the amphitheatre, short for Amphibious Theatre Kid, and you'd scream your jokes into his mouth. It was a he because, of course, it was before women were allowed anywhere near satire, as it was considered that access to too many facts would blight our wombs. Anyway,
Was it wrong, Alice?
A lot of satirical shows outside of the Bugle have maintained that policy, Alice.
Tell me about it. Everyone else got a career out of this fucking show. Anyway, the Amphibious Theatre Kid would go to the houses and ponds of every Bugle listener and tell them all the jokes in exchange for a wooden penny. That's how it used to be. Now where we are now, 18 years from now, can you imagine how powerful the Bugle will be? What world-spanning influence we will have? What fully sentient badonkadonk tanks will be sending out into civilization to assassinate plastic flamingo lawn ornaments? We will be at the cutting edge of technology, will be beamed directly into the eyes of children in 0.25-second incremental ellipses, fighting for their micro-attentions against 18 other propagandists from all other quartiles of politics. In the brief period we have these children's minds before they grow old enough to subsume themselves into the Amazon Borg, an AI blob of glup that supplies infinite demand while demanding infinite supply. They'll subsume themselves into the blob of glup in service of one of three. They get to choose one of three God, Emperor, hive mind, business merger personality orbs, either Musco Trump, a Jabba the Hutt-style floating slumternity, Emperor Huawei Jinping, an eternal body made up entirely of dissident kidneys, or Permafrost Poutine, a shirtless, cryogenically frozen zombie Putin covered in cheese curds.
The best kind of Putin.
We will, of course, defeat all other channels and become the dominant micro-narrowcaster, eventually becoming everyone's second, fourth, and other even-numbered thoughts before we start serving ads and insisting everyone upgrade to the premium Bugle service, which will also have ads, but ads of a slightly higher quality.
To be honest,
Just as long as the ads only have white people in them. This show is a bloody wokist wet dream. A woman, a brown, and a Jew. At least Chris is here for some normal.
That's what everyone says about me. Normal.
well, I think that's the latest in a live Bugle before we've had the first fuck you, Chris.
I think they saw the sheer look of panic that whether this technology would work or not at the start of the show and gave me a pass.
Have we got time?
I think you can do a thing.
Well, one final story reaching us. A collection of 1980s pop and rock stars
Two in a night is rough.
have announced that they're to record a charity single to raise awareness of the housing crisis. This amidst reports that local governments are turning to porta cabins as a stopgap solution. Yes, this crisis could make prefab sprout up everywhere. All because more and more people are living in crowded houses, creating a squeeze on accommodation. And let's face it, it's not a big country, but one whose housing is in dire straits. And we can't just stick with the status quo and have people living in a box. Is that long-term the cure? I mean, sure, these buildings go up really quickly, just like that, wham. But it's a short-term fix. And soon enough, they'll run out, they have to put in a new order. Now, obviously, there will be architectural and aesthetic and planning issues having porta cabins next to older and bigger buildings. Inevitably, it will be a problem, the clash of style. Councils will have to make a call on that. And some people are making a political capital out of it, blaming immigration. But these kind of people, they just enjoy division. In terms of the materials used, prefabs get a bad rap because of what they're made of, but it's not valid, and we need to dispel these myths. These myths. But maybe prefabs are better than older natural material, certainly better than using lumber, because the beams degrade, they get woodworm. The timber, frankly, goes to Holywood. Don't blame me for this. I didn't write it. I simply read it out. There we go. Oh my God. I don't know if that's a glimpse into the past or the future. Now, 18 years from now. That brings us to new merch for sale. The old new merch. It was new merch once, and it's now old new merch. But Chris is gonna go to sell the merch. Give it up for producer Chris. 14 years on the Bugle. Thank you all for coming here to the Leicester Square Theatre. Thanks to the Leicester Square Theatre for having us. Thanks to Go Faster Stripe for doing the live stream. Thanks to all of you watching at home, all up to 8 billion of you watching at home. We'll be reporting on the world for at least the next 18 years. Possibly, actually, I'm writing checks that my dietary habits cannot catch. Show your appreciation once again for John Oliver! We can't hear you, he's not there anymore. The absolutely wonderful Alice Fraser! The unstable internet connection, Nish Kumar! Playing for the Blue Jays in the World Series. I've been Andy, goodbye, thank you for coming.
Goldsmith.